about your vacation. I've never been out there,
Yes, sir.
and I have a good friend who, her and her
I do
husband,
too.
they're out there now.
Judge, we're
Yes,
on YouTube.
yes, I know. I just started it.
Okay.
Do we have Mr. Irving?
The jail hasn't turned their video on right now. Stanley, are you waiting for me for something? I see you're.
I'm sorry.
Were you waiting for me? I saw you weren't muted and your video was on. We're about to do a hearing.
No, I was just waiting to get put into the jail.
Okay, we're about to do a hearing, so you'll be able to do that after we finish.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, it looks like we have Mr. Irving. This is position 33 on my calendar. Today is August 29th, 2022. This preliminary hearing calendar. My name is Brad Gardner. I'm going to be presiding over this hearing here today. Miss Pleasant, is it okay that I not announce the charges? I'll just read the warrant number.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. So Mr. Irving has 3 charges, and the warrant numbers are 2020 CW 53755, 2022 5753756, and 2022 CW 53757. Mr. Irving is present here in court. He is represented by attorney Pleasant, who is also here. We have attorney Freeman, who is here on behalf of the state. Attorney Freeman, would you swear in your witness and present your case?
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Bishop, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony about providing the matter of state of Georgia versus Timothy Irving will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Please tell us your name and how you're employed.
I'm sorry, you went out. Can you say it one more time?
Please tell us your name and how you are employed.
Detective Dominique Bishop, and I'm with Forest Park Police Department.
Detective, how long have you worked with the Forest Park Police Department?
I've been there for approximately 2.5 years, ma'am.
Okay, and also just before we get started, because of the nature of the allegations, I'll ask you just to refer to the victim as the victim instead of stating her name.
Yes.
Okay. And Detective Bishop, while working with the Forest Park Police Department, were you assigned a case involving the defendant Timothy Irving?
Yes, I was.
And how did you come about getting that assignment?
It was assigned to me by my supervisor.
And how did the allegations, how were they brought forth to the police department?
It was through a defects caseworker who contacted Forest Park PD. Actually, she saw a YouTube video that came about, and because of that, that led to her going to Forest Park.
Do you know, I guess, when the defects worker saw this video on YouTube?
I don't know exactly when she saw the video. I believe it was just a day before she reported it. It was either the day before or the day of she reported it.
Were you able to review this YouTube video?
Yes, ma'am.
What did the video indicate?
Well, the individual in the video indicated that the offender, Mr. Irving, sexually assaulted his stepdaughter, which in return, the victim came about from a pregnancy. And then there were other allegations that The offender, Mr. Irving, was also sexually assaulting the victim.
You able to determine the age of the victim in this case?
As of right now, the victim is 17.
How old was the victim when she indicated these, the incidents occurred?
15.
I believe you stated this, but just so we're clear, what was the relationship between the victim and Mr. Irving?
What was said in the YouTube video, this individual is possibly father and grandfather.
Did I hear you correctly when you mentioned some kind of pregnancy in the video?
Yes.
What information regarding the pregnancy was stated in the YouTube video?
The person who was interviewed, who was actually the mother of the victim, she stated that she was also sexually assaulted by Mr. Irving, and that led to the pregnancy of her having the victim.
Okay.
Okay.
But the charges that you brought forth regarding Mr. Irving are related to the alleged victim that you stated was 15 at the time. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you able to get identifying information off of the YouTube video for you to go and speak to the victim?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you interview your victim yourself, or did she have a forensic interview?
She had a forensic interview.
What information were you able to gather from the forensic interview?
She stated that the offender, Mr. Irving, did sexually assault her on multiple occasions.
Was she able to give specific details when she said sexually assault?
Yes, ma'am. She
Can
didn't
you
actually say
please-
sexually assault per se, but you get what I'm saying.
Okay, I need you to be specific in what she stated happened between she and Mr. Irving.
Okay. The victim stated that Mr. Irving had sex with her.
Did she say whether or not that was vaginal sex or anal sex?
She stated both.
In the forensic interview, was she clear on what vaginal sex was and what anal sex was?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know that she was clear on what those two things are?
Well, it was explained by the forensic interviewer. They went over specific body parts from head to toe, and she was able to actually state, which body part Mr. Irving entered.
And can you tell us, how did she describe Mr. Irving's body part?
I believe she did say his penis.
And did she state what he did with his penis?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that?
She stated that he entered inside her, in her vagina and in her behind.
Did the victim indicate whether or not she told the defendant that she did not want to have sex?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly did she say?
She said that she told him she did not like it.
Did she state what Mr. Irving's response was when she stated that?
I believe she stated he really didn't say anything. He just continued.
How did the victim state this made her feel?
She stated that it made her feel horrible, and she had suicidal thoughts and even attempted to commit suicide by cutting herself.
Did the victim have to be hospitalized as a result of these allegations?
Not to my knowledge, no, ma'am.
Were there any photographs taken of any, I guess, marks that the victim stated that she did when she tried to commit suicide?
No, we don't have any photographs of markings on her arms. By the time she had the forensic interview, the markings had healed.
Did the victim give an indication of when these incidents occurred?
She stated when she was 15. She didn't give a specific date. She just said when she was 15.
The date you used in the warrant, the 6/20/2022, can you tell us why that date was used?
Give me 1 second. (6/20). I believe that was the date that she told her aunt, who actually we found out to be was her cousin, about the incident.
The 597 Favor Drive address, is that a house or apartment?
It's a house.
Who lived at that house?
The offender, the victim, the victim's brother, their aunt, and grandmother.
Is this the address where the victim alleged the incidents happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she able to provide a specific location inside of the residence where the incidents happened?
Yes, ma'am. She stated her bedroom.
Were you or other officers with the Forest Park Police Department able to gather any physical evidence in this case?
I was not on scene, so no, I did not personally gather any evidence. And I do not believe the officers did as well, because the defects worker came up to the station and then they went over to the address. So I don't believe they collected anything that day.
Is 597 Favor Drive, is that in Forest Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
From your investigation, have you been able to find any witnesses to the incidents?
No, ma'am.
Did the victim indicate whether or not there were other people around when these things happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did she say was around when the incidents happened?
She stated that the offender, Mr. Irving, would come into her bedroom at night while she was asleep. And during that time, she stated her brother would be home sleep, or her aunt would be home sleep, or grandmother would be home sleep. Or sometimes they would be at home by themselves.
Did you talk to any of those persons to see if they heard or saw anything?
I did. The brother also had a forensic interview conducted. He did not state anything or any accusations.
Have you had an opportunity to interview Mr. Irving?
I did go up to the jail and I Mirandized him before we started interviewing. Once I Mirandized him, he refused to cooperate.
Just 1 second, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Take your time.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Pleasant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Bishop, I want to go back to the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
You testified you reviewed the video.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you see in the video?
The person in the video is the victim's mother.
And the victim's mother is the only person in the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The only person that you see, yes.
Okay. And when you spoke to the victim's mother, what specifically did she state her knowledge of these alleged incidences are?
Well, from the beginning, if you don't mind, she stated that back when she was around the same age, 15, 16 years old, Mr. Irving was sexually assaulting her. And when she confronted him and talked to her mom about it, they did not, or the mom did not believe her. And she stated that Mr. Irving talked to the mom to have her kicked out of the house. She stated she was not sexually active with anyone else at the time. And then that's how the victim was born. She also stated that she was told the victim was being sexually assaulted by Mr. Irving again. So that's how the
And
news came about.
who did the mother indicate told her that this is her child, correct? The 17-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
Where'd she get her information that her child was being sexually assaulted?
She stated that she heard from her child as well as another family member.
And which family member is she alleging told her that her child was being molested by her father?
I'm honestly not 100% sure at this time. I do not remember. I'm sorry.
Do you recall whether or not this is a family member that resides in the household on Favor Drive?
No, ma'am.
So this family member that an outcry was made to has not been interviewed by you?
The family member's name was never spoken.
Okay. Did you request that information?
Honestly, I did not. Once she told me that her daughter told her, I was going based off of that information.
And just so to be clear, when you say she, you're saying the mother of the person who's currently alleged to be the victim.
Yes, sir.
And the mother, I thought I heard your testimony to be that the mother, her child is actually Mr. Irving's. Mr. Irving is the father?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And has there been any testing? DNA
Yes.
testing?
I actually was able to obtain a search warrant for DNA swabs that were completed. They were completed for Mr. Irving at the jail the same day that he was Mirandized, and they were also completed at the station for the victim.
And
So
you're
we're
just waiting on a response.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Pleasant, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, the 17-year-old, the current alleged victim, is she developmentally delayed?
Yes, ma'am.
And so when she was articulating what happened to her, what words was she using?
Well, like I said, she initially said Mr. Irving had, well, she said Timothy had sex with me.
So she spelled the word out.
Yes.
Okay. And how did she describe what she's alleging he did to her? Beyond that, beyond the spelling.
Well, when the forensic interview kept, asking questions and talking to her, she did say, there's other ways you can say it or whatnot. She said, well, yeah, he had sex with me. And then also stated that he was in my front and in my behind.
And those are her words exactly.
Yes, ma'am, to my knowledge.
Okay. And this forensic interview, to your knowledge, was it recorded?
It was, ma'am.
And that's attached to your case file?
Yes, ma'am.
You indicated there's a aunt slash cousin.
Yes, initially I thought that the individual that the victim is staying with now, it was said to me that it was her aunt, but come to find out that it's not her aunt, it is her cousin. This person is also Mr. Irving's niece.
Okay. And did she provide any information with regards to this case?
She did.
What information did she provide?
She stated that the victim talked to her and told her what happened between her and Mr. Irving.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Yes, take your time.
With respect to the occupants of the Favor Drive residence, did you attempt to interview the grandmother?
I did, ma'am.
And what was her response?
Denied the accusations.
And the grandmother is what relation to Mr. Felix?
Wife. And actually, with that, when I talked to her, at first she denied, and then once the conversation continued, she said, "I made him apologize."
Made him apologize to who?
To the victim.
And what was he apologizing to the victim for?
For the sexual assault.
Is this interview recorded?
It's not, ma'am.
Who was present when that conversation occurred?
The aunt, who also stays there.
And what if any information did the aunt provide?
She stated that she wasn't aware of the accusations at first. And then she stated that, no, he didn't do it. I don't believe he did it.
And what is her relationship to Mr. Felix?
Stepdaughter.
And to date, you've had no conversation with Mr. Irving with regards to these claims?
No, like I said, the only conversation I had with him was when I came up to Clayton County Jail with the DNA search warrant. And I was getting ready to interview him. I Mirandized him and he refused.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, and I have one question just to be clear. When Attorney Pleasant asked, was anything recorded? I'm going to ask either by video, any writings, anything with these conversations that you've had with these other persons.
Well, the mother's interview was recorded. And then you have the forensic interviews of the victim and her brother. And as far as the aunt and the grandmother, those weren't recorded. It was just me taking notes of what they were saying.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Do you have any other witnesses, Attorney Freeman?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
Ms. Pleasant, do you have any witnesses?
Your Honor, defense rests as well. And
Okay,
defense will submit on the testimony.
okay. Do you have any argument, Ms. Freeman?
No, Judge, just that you bind the charges over, and I ask that Detective Bishop be excused.
Detective Bishop, you can be excused. Thank you for your attendance here today. I'm going to find that there's sufficient evidence to bind warrant number 2020 CW 53755 over to the Superior Court of Clayton County, and warrant number 2022 CW 53756 to be bound over to the Superior Court of Clayton County, and warrant number 2022 CW 53757 to be bound over to the Superior Court of Clayton County. Mr. Irving, you can go back, sir, to your housing unit. Mr. Schoolcraft, I'm going to, hold on, let me stop.